here we go. So this is me. I'm 34 years old. Originally, I was born in Jerusalem. I'm sorry if I have to look every once in a while on the slides itself, themselves. Okay, so what's unique about me is that I'm an affiliate. I have several agencies, and I have several brands of my own. And I am what I call a full stack media buyer. That means that I spend my own money and manipulate, learn, and try different platforms all the time. And the way that I actually work is by having a very narrow structure when it comes to partnerships. I don't take on lots of people who work for me. I take on partnerships. So I have a few fitness centers. I have a search arbitrage operation, a few lead generation operations, and a few brands of my own. I'm in the supplements brand, and I have a supplement manufacturing facility, and we have the biggest fitness app in Israel right now. So I've been in the industry for lots of years now. And in the past 2.5 years, I've done several hundreds of consultations. And what I'm going to talk to you about is really based on that and the stuff that I've spent my own money on. And I believe that lead gen changes lives. And this is the story that I want to tell you about. It's a very personal story. And I can say that I am in love with lead gen, literally. And the reason why I can say that is that 5 months ago, I became single again, and I know some of the girls here might ask themselves how this guy could be single, but thank you, yes. And you're right. No, so I became single, and I was like, okay, you have to be creative nowadays because I went on all the apps, and the apps are horrible. Okay, you have to spend lots of money, and these apps are like really pushing you into spending more money, and the interest is you not finding a relationship. It's you basically staying inside the app. And some of you probably are whispering in between yourselves, why didn't he go on Grindr? And I also tried that. No, I was that desperate. And by the way, I'm probably one of the only guys in the room who actually went on Bumble and bought the lifetime membership. So just imagine how desperate you have to be in order to pay for something. Like the whole purpose of the app is for you to get out of the app. Okay, so and it's like if you pay for the lifetime, it's like you're giving up, to begin with. So I don't know if you know this, but it's based on academic studies. It's very hard to find love or a partner or any relationship on these apps nowadays. And it's like the apps, what they did is that you have the top 10% of guys that look very good, that they swim in a basically endless sea of options, and the other 90% are in a complete void. So if you're trying the apps, know that you're not alone. And if you're a part of the 10%, then fuck you. So I was like, okay, let's try and be creative. How do I use my marketing advantages and lead gen in general to help myself? So I decided to create an advertorial for myself, believe it or not. I went on the second largest news website in Israel, and I took on the equivalent of the SNL copywriter, and I did a photo shoot, and it was like a complete interview. So they had like a weekly Bachelor segment, and I had links on the bottom for my Facebook and for my Instagram. So I got over 1,300 DMs organically, and then I decided to run a native ads campaign for myself. It was very weird, seeing yourself on a thumbnail. So that happened, and I'm gonna share some stats with you, okay? So I spent $2,000. I got over almost 1.5 million impressions. I got, in total, including the organic, 3,400 responses. The cost per response, which is very weird, I know, but like, yeah. So the cost per response was almost 0.6. I had over 274 phone calls with women. The cost per lead was 7.29. And then I went on just around 50 dates. So I went on like 2 to 3 dates a day. It was very hard, very exhausting. I couldn't even remember what the girls were saying, to be honest. So Uh, Believe me, some of the girls, you want to block them from the lists. So 50 dates, the cost per date was $40. And if someone wants to know what's the cost per making love, you can talk to me after this. Uh, yeah, I truly believe that lead gen is love. The end of that story is standing right at the end of this venue. So I just want to say she wasn't one of the girls who DM'd me. So I went on a conference, and Tel Aviv in Israel is a very small country, and I've had so many weird responses. You have no idea. I had like women who approached me like feminists down the street, and they told me that my mother should be ashamed because I wrote in the article, I said, I think it was chicks or girls and not women and stuff like that. And I was like, oh, you're completely right. And I was like, how do I get out of that situation as fast as possible? So I was, just to complete the story, I was walking at just like a financial investment, stocks, and like a conference. And then a guy approached me. At the bar, and he said, I think I know you from somewhere. I was like, I don't know where, maybe the fitness center, maybe Tel Aviv. And I was like, I don't know. Then he went and came back, and he told me maybe that article, and I was like, fuck, yes. The day after, he sent me an Instagram message, and he told me I have someone to introduce you to, so that happened. So let's hope it sticks. So that's that. I want to talk to you some stuff that I'm doing with chatbots at the moment, native chatbots, especially with Facebook. So the reason why I believe in chatbots, I think it's 2023. No one really likes being called that. No one really likes people just like approaching them, trying to push stuff, even if they're like interested in that specific product or service. So that's why the big thing that's going on now are chatbots and lead calls. So exactly what Jason was talking about. And I think there is a few benefits on chatbots and using chatbots natively with Facebook. So the first one is that you get to overcome iOS tracking issues because everything is inside the platform. You get a much higher conversion rates, which is very cool. It's kind of like overcoming exactly what Jason was talking about. You get the very high conversion rate, the lower CPLs, and you don't really lose quality. And I'm going to show you a few case studies in just a second. You solve lots of the big problems that you have. So you get a much higher page speed because you're inside the Facebook Messenger chat. You get to control the number of leads. You get to control how complicated the page or the flow is. And the time that the user takes to answer questions, it's very fast because you're basically using the data from Facebook. So some of the stuff is pre-populated, just like the lead generation ads. So the user gets qualified through a more engaging experience. You get to talk to him through his own name and stuff like that. You don't lose the ability to remarket, just like Facebook lead ads. You get to basically build a list, and then you can just use that list. And you could use that for e-com and not just pure lead gen, which is very cool. I'm actually using it to grab the person's name. For example, we run a pet supplement brand. So we take on the dog's name, and then when we generate a dynamic link, and when the user clicks on it, it drops the user into a product page with the name of the dog on the product. So that creates a very personalized experience, and that helped with conversion rate. One cool thing is that because not many people use chatbots, the way that the Facebook algorithm learns and targets and brings in more audience is a bit different than conversion ads and stuff like that, where you usually compete on the same audience after a product has been running for a while. Yeah, so how you do that is basically you open up a lead generation campaign, and you get the option to use automated chat, and then you have basically the option on creating a very, personalized customized flow. You get to use emojis, you get to use the name of the person and stuff like that. And you also get to choose what's a qualified or disqualified lead. So you don't have to use the third-party stuff that you used to, like ManyChat and more complicated, chatbot builders and stuff like that. Everything is inside Facebook nowadays. So that also helps Facebook target, and I'm going to talk about it in a second. The way that you would open up a remarketing audience or a remarketing campaign would be just as if you ran a conversions campaign. You just get to, it's still called a lead form inside Facebook, but it's basically the chat flow that you built. So let's talk some stats. Okay, so I chose a few stuff. I chose one thing that I'm running for myself, which is a fitness center. The first one is actually an agency client, and the third one is Mass Tort, a litigation campaign. So let's start with like furnitures and mattresses. So everything that I've done here was send 50% of the traffic into just like a normal landing page that you would have, and 50% into a chatbot, and then I checked the CRM. So I only did that with campaigns that I had access to the whole 360, so I can actually check the quality of the lead, because just like Jason said, you can run lots of volume, but if the quality is bad, then it doesn't really matter, and some of the times you're not even going to get paid. So we had 1,300 leads here. On the left, you have the landing page. On the right, you have the chatbot conversion rate. So the conversion rate with chatbots was very high. The conversion rate to purchases from lead was much higher with chatbots, as you can see, 16% versus 10%. And then the ROI, which was very interesting, was much higher with chatbots. So people actually were interested in more stuff. So what I did was optimize the experience for the user, and I started testing different flows. Some of the flows were like, are you interested in just a mattress, or are you also interested in a bed, and stuff like that. And that actually increased the revenue by a lot, because people, that's my guesstimate, is that people didn't feel like they're being pushed into like purchasing products that they didn't want to when the chatbot just was offering them. Another thing was is my fitness center. So again, almost 1,300 leads. Conversion rate to lead was much higher with a chatbot. The conversion rate to subscription, which is the product that I'm selling, again, much higher, but by tens of percentages, like if you compare the two. And the last campaign that I'm going to share the stats was a Mass Tort campaign. Very recent campaign, spent $165,000. Conversion rate to lead, as you can see, the numbers are very different, just in between. Sometimes you'd have like 10%. So with Mass Tort, I like to keep it very informative, very educational, and very hard. So for me, when the conversion rate is very high, it's kind of like a signal on, or if the campaign is very profitable on the front end, it's kind of like a signal of a bad lead quality at the end. So when there is a low conversion rate to lead, I like it. The conversion rate to retainer, which is something that's very hard, at least for me, to get, because I'm just like an affiliate sending traffic, and I'm not the guy who actually calls them. So sometimes the litigators, the lawyers, they don't know how to track it, or they don't have that information, or they just don't want to share it. So I'm gonna share a few hacks or tricks that I've been using and learned throughout the year that I've been running chatbots. So chatbots remarketing, an essential thing. We talked about it just now. So how it works is usually when people come from like a conservative landing page, the normal rule would be use as minimal as possible number of like fields and stuff like that, because you don't want to make sure that the user goes through a very long experience. Like the normal rule would be, if you have more fields, then you lose conversion rates, then you're gonna pay more. With chatbots, it doesn't really work like that. So at the very least, I like to ask one qualifying question, just so I know that the user is like legit and the quality is there. And I was scared of making that experience and just like flow a bit longer. Don't be. It's my experience with chatbots that it's very much different than any type of like landing page. You want to add as much questions as possible. It makes the user feel more confident that you're actually sending a legit product and people actually like it. When I'm scaling and optimizing, when it comes to chatbots, I create a gender or age-specific flow. So if I know that I'm talking to older female demographic, I would have different emojis, different kind of like vibe to the flow. And then I like to, when I get to A/B testing, I'll talk about it, but it's very important. Usually what people do with lead gen, just like lead ads and chatbots, they would get one flow out. And if the campaign works, it works, and if it doesn't, it doesn't. It's my experience that A/B testing the type of questions, the text inside the question, and even the order of questions is something that could create very different results for your campaign. So that's a big thing. No one actually A/B tests chatbots from the consultations that I've made. The other thing is you want to make sure that you send at the end of that flow some educational stuff. So that could be like a PDF that the user could download, what to expect when the person is going to call you. Sometimes it's a YouTube video that I would edit. Sometimes it's something on like a legit site, like a CNN website and stuff like that. I don't really give any, just like advice when it comes to copyrights and stuff like that. So you want to make sure that you're actually sending the user into something that you own, and you're not like stealing videos and stuff like that. The big thing about sending the user at the end of the flow to another website is that you want to make sure that that website is legit in terms of policy. What that means is that Facebook, TikTok, and the other platforms, they actually check the whole flow. So they would actually see that link as if you are launching an e-com or lead gen campaign that is sending to a third-party website. So you want to make sure that it's basically compliant. That means that it would pass through policy as if you would run it in the first place, and that it doesn't require login. Some people would try and push like a Facebook page or something like that. Facebook is a site that requires login, and then they don't understand why the campaign is being disapproved or the account is being banned. The biggest thing that I want to tell you guys is that chatbots, they take more time to learn nowadays. So you are possibly going to see very different results in the first 3 or 4 days. That it's very different. Like we're used to Facebook launching, and then you get like lots of pixel fires and leads and stuff like that, and the system learns very quickly. With chatbots, it doesn't work like that. Give it some time. The last thing is that sometimes users would fall in between the script and they would get out of the loop. So if you want to squeeze everything that you can from the campaign, you want to make sure that you have a guy sitting on that page inside the inbox and grabbing those leads. Sometimes people would want to share more about their case, their issue. They want someone to speak to. They get out of the script, the normal script. So you want to make sure that you do that. I want to share a secret targeting option that works only on Facebook, only for lead gen. So usually when you're running, an e-com campaign, you would have like a few pixels, like micro conversion, stuff like that, like add to cart and stuff like that. And that really changes how the system targets and who's a lead and who isn't if we're comparing e-com to lead gen. So there is an option on Facebook now. It's not even open to all of my accounts, but if you open up a leads campaign, there is an option of creating something that's like a hybrid between instant forms and messenger. So it's called instant forms and messenger. What a name, right? And then you create basically a flow, and Facebook would optimize based on that. But the cool thing is that once you do that, you have an option to lead filter. You see that lead filtering thing on the top right? So you would have different questions, and then you can define, is this a lead or it's not a lead? And this raises quality by tens of %. Because Facebook doesn't just, how the Facebook pixel would try and find out the right age, the right gender, the right placement and stuff like that. This is a much, much deeper type of way that the system actually learns. So you get to define, okay, if this is a household income below that, or if is this guy renting or owning an apartment and stuff like that, Facebook would actually go out of the normal pool of data that it has, and it would start looking for people with similar traits and similar behaviors. So it allows for deeper targeting, and again based on likelihood of interaction. That's that. You can add me on Grindr, OnlyFans. Yeah, I have a YouTube. I'm finishing my book. It's in the final phase of editing. It's about like entrepreneurial stuff and everything that I learned through therapy. And as you can see, I'm deeply in therapy. I've been in therapy since I was in kindergarten, so I have a lot to share. So yeah, add me. Thank you so much for the time.